is Your Mustang Story.
Oh, wow. You know our goal is to present everyday Mustang fans here, but every now and then we manage to catch a Mustang celebrity. Heather Storm is a network television personality, a producer, a travel writer, a woman who loves cars. She was the series host of Garage Squad on Discovery MotorTrend and also on Street Tuner Challenge on Speed TV. She was a guest on Jay Leno's Garage. She acted in over a dozen movies, including No Bad Days, HBO Films' Nightingale, and Epic Movie, and has appeared in dozens of commercials. In fact, if you watch long enough, she's probably on one right now. Heather is the creator and host of the travel series Drive Yourself Local, where she explores small-town America in her 65 Ford Mustang, and another show, Heather Storm Off-Road, where she discovers the world of off-roading in her new Ford Bronco. You can try and keep up with her at heatherstorm.com and catch some of her adventures on her travel blog, On the Road. If any of you possibly wonder, Heather Storm is as attractive off-screen as she is on-screen. Okay, that aside, she is a genuine people person. She's smart as a whip and a self-described classic car nerd, and absolutely a fun person to be around. If you've seen her on MotorTrend TV or online or one of her podcasts, you know she knows people, travel, and cars. We were fortunate that she was able to talk to us at the MCA National Show this year. I mean, it was a busy show all the days. Heather's father instilled in her the importance of being independent, and he taught her to shoot guns, use tools around the house, and definitely around a vehicle, specifically her classic Mustang, as you'll hear in this episode of Your Mustang Story. Heather, welcome to the show. We've seen your programs. They're wonderful online series as well. And so, Heather, tell us how your Mustang origin story began.
I have always loved Mustangs. They're just kind of a piece of Americana to me. It just represents that, the pony car. And they're just classy and classic. I had my eye on them, but I never really thought I would own necessarily a classic car until I started working on Garage Squad. And then I realized, like, you know what? I kind of need to have a classic car.
Sure.
I don't know. I just started falling in love with all the different types. We worked on so many different cars, but we worked on a few Mustangs, and I was like, you know what? This just feels like the right car for me. And, you know, I feel like cars are an extension of your personality in a way.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
you know, you just feel what's right for you. And then it was actually one of the guys on Garage Squad, his brother owned the Mustang that I ended up buying. And he said, you know what? I have the perfect car for you.
Boy, was he right.
And he was right. And I said, hey, what do you know? And he said, here's a picture of it. And I was like, let's go see it today. I said that. Yeah, let's see it today. And right after we filmed, we went over there and I drove the car and I was like, this is the car.
Yeah.
You know, I just knew right away.
It is a zen moment, if you will. Mm-hmm. But what is it the car got? Any options?
Yeah. So the Mustang that I ended up buying is a 289 65 silver blue Mustang with 289 engine, numbers matching, and it has the luxury blue and white pony interior.
It's bad.
Yeah, and I do have the code so I could see that everything, you know, the year it was made and that was originally a luxury interior, and just, you know, it's basically how it came out of the factory, and that was really important to me. I didn't want anything to be, you know, overly modified or done, and I just wanted something that was just classy and classic, and that's just kind of my style, you know, and that was what fit me perfectly. And I couldn't get over the color.
Yeah, I got to tell you, that's my color too. I really like that color.
Yeah.
And Wimbledon white. That's my 68 is a Wimbledon.
Yeah.
But that blue is really something special.
It just pops. And I think more than anything, just once I started driving the car, it really changed my life. And I think it's kind of a dramatic statement to say, but it was really true. It opened my eyes and my world to a whole new car culture that, yes, I had been involved with it with Garage Squad, but now that I was a classic car owner too, and I had my Mustang and I was driving it across the country, I was just meeting so many different people, and it just felt really good.
It does. It's like a family, and it is pretty deep. It does get to you after a while to the point where he's nuts about his Mustang. Yes, I am nuts about my Mustang because they're so fun. I think that also applies to some other things in life, but you don't have to have the fastest, highest, super extra. The Mustang really does a unique function in our society in that you don't have to be rich to have a Mustang.
Exactly.
You can buy them online for $5,000. Or you could turn around and have $170,000.
Right.
So they fit such a broad spectrum of people. And then the years and the styles change and all that.
There's a little something for everybody. And I think that you made an important point, Bob, is that you don't have to have the rarest car to have fun with a classic car. It doesn't have to be the rarest, most unique. In fact, for me personally, I didn't want a super rare car because I wanted it to be something that I could work on and find parts for easily.
Yeah.
And you know, a Mustang you can easily get parts for, and that's an important part. I didn't want to spend a fortune on parts for my car or feel that that was going to be a barrier to getting things done on it. I wanted it to be simple to do, something I could do with myself, maybe with some help for some things that are really hard to do muscle-wise. For that, the first Mustang was kind of perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had that same experience with my car, the power steering, you know, I had friends come over and help get that fixed straight, and now it runs and drives like a dream. And the parts, this is nuts.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how much, oh boy, this is going to cost, what do you mean it's $7?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Nothing is
affordable.
$7 anymore.
Yeah, rarely. You can't even get a bagel for $7.
Yeah. But yeah, all those bezels are beautiful now, you know?
Yeah.
So you really get to perfect it more. Because of your travels, because of your experience, what is your most memorable Mustang memory?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Memorable Mustang memory. Well, the first thing that actually came to my mind is just because we're in New Mexico. I was in Santa Fe coming up to Colorado, and I was driving from Port Aransas, Texas. And after 2 days through Texas and finally getting into New Mexico, we stayed in Santa Fe, a friend of mine, and she was really sick. I don't know what exactly was wrong, but her stomach was so sick. And so I was like, look, we're going to be driving on the 285 through nowhere. Maybe you should go home, because I actually don't want to be responsible if you're sick and my car breaks down and we have no service. Like, this feels like a bad situation. So she agreed, and she went home, so she didn't make that last leg. And when I woke up in the morning, I noticed that my lower radiator hose was leaking off my Mustang, and she had already left, and I didn't know anybody in Santa Fe, and I was like, oh no. And I went back. It was funny because I went to go get a coffee, and then, you know, as a classic car owner, you know this, I went back, I was like, I'll just walk by my Mustang and see how it is, right?
Yeah.
And then I looked, I was like, oh no, it's leaking. And so I spent a couple hours just like I had to, you know, I had tools in my trunk.
Yes.
So it wasn't a hard fix or anything, but it was just something that I had to fully do on my own and not have anybody there because no one was available. Yeah. And you know what? I got it done. And the funny part was I was in the parking lot of the hotel garage, like a garage parking lot of the hotel. And I was under my car, you know, loosening it up and draining out the coolant and everything. And these 4 guys walked by and they're like, you need any help? And I'm like, nah, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so it was that empowering moment of just like, I have this, like all the things that I've done, you know, where I might not feel like, oh, you know, I can do it, but I usually have someone double check. There was no one to double check. I had to 100% rely on myself. And I still haven't touched that lower radiator hose since.
Yeah.
It's still fine.
And I find that with Mustang girls. I mean, it just seems to be, you know, we have incredible Mustang girls in our local club and in the MCA. That is a really great framing of what being part of Mustang family is. And having that classic car nerd, you know, vibe. That's it.
But it was just so fun to just be like, you know what? I got this. I made it all the way to Colorado. Everything's fine. And it just felt so good. At first, when I took off, I'm like, I really hope that I didn't, you know, that I clamped it on tight enough and it's going to fit. And it did, and it was fine. And then by halfway through, I'm like, this is awesome. And driving by yourself in a classic car, there's just something really empowering about it. You know that something can go wrong at any time. Yes. Because, I mean, it can, you know, it's old.
It's not built for modern world. That's right.
So you know that, but there's just something that's kind of empowering when nothing does go wrong too, and you're fine.
And they're built in a different frame of mind, in a different world that was back then. You know, it is kind of simple. One of the guys out here mentioned that he had electronic ignition failure, so he popped his points back in, and it was like, man, I'm on the road. You know?
He's back on the road, and there he goes. Like, he didn't even worry about it. And I just think it's really fun because it's hard to work on cars that are modern these days as much, and you know, just having that knowledge of classic cars is kind of amazing.
Plug and play modules now, or you know, pull out your laptop and let it rip.
Yeah. Your Mustang Story will be right back.
Every time I went to the beach with Albert, some big muscle guy was always kicking sand in his face. It made me so mad. He tried all the exercises, went through the diet. I wonder whatever happened to him.
Albert's a Mustanger now. He bought a beautiful Mustang convertible, one of 3 Mustangs for $65. Nothing soft about this car, except the all-vinyl interior and the carpeting. With a big 200 cubic inch strong arm 6, he's got a tough new kind of action. And when he added optional power brakes, power steering, all of a sudden his whole life changed. Nobody's kicking sand at Albert now. We don't spend much time here anymore. Put a few kicks in your life. Take a Mustang out for a little road work. Mustang, Mustang, Mustang.
Now, more of Your Mustang Story.
What kind of reaction do you get from people when they see you on the road? I mean, there's got to be, there's still thumbs up and rock and roll and all that.
All types of good reactions. If I ever am with a male in the car with me and I stop and get gas, that people automatically assume it's his car. and he's like, no, it's her car. And then they're like, oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Which I think is always kind of a fun little haha moment for me.
Yeah.
When they look over and see me and I'm the one popping the hood and checking the oil at the gas station. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a fun, nod that I get.
But that was your place in broadcast entertainment history, is that you can wrench, you can do it all.
Right.
So do you have any tips or tricks for restoring or maintaining a classic Mustang?
Keep it in your garage. I made the mistake when I didn't have a garage right after I moved to Colorado of having it parked out, and some of the cottonwood trees kind of came down, and I didn't really know about this, and they got stuck onto my paint, and I still have some yellowing on there that just kills me.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I just keep it in your garage if you can. Cover it up, and it seems obvious, but I mean, I think that's really important for stopping or slowing down the wear and tear that's just going to naturally happen by sitting there. And don't beat yourself up. People beat me up a little bit and say, oh, why is your Mustang here? It should be perfect. And I'm like, I'm a human just like everybody else who's busy. And, don't beat yourself up if you don't have time for a year. Just take it one step at a time, make a list of the projects you need to do on your vehicle, and just start pecking away at it. And don't beat yourself up about it.
Awesome. That is awesome. So what's your next Mustang trip?
That's a good question. First, I need to spend some time this summer getting my Mustang ready. Trip. That's right. Wrench it in the garage. And luckily, my neighbor has a lift. So, yeah, that works out well for me.
Absolutely.
And again, going back to the car community, it's good to have that help. Get a lot more done on a lift. But, you can do it all in your garage. But I haven't decided exactly where I'm going to go with my Mustang next. I really need to get it dialed in and kind of figure it out. There's such a big, bad world out there.
It is, and there's so many great Mustang events happening.
I know.
Next weekend, they're going to be up in Colorado.
I know.
Pretty close.
It is close.
What does your future Mustang dream garage have in it?
Everything. Everything I could possibly need to get my car done. I would absolutely have a lift and maybe two in there, just so I could have, if I had another car for my Bronco needed to be serviced to, I have at least two.
Yeah.
I feel like that's now. Garage card, we never had that. I just got used to, it's fine, you just go under the car with 2 inches of space and figure it out, and that's why I would get stuck under there. But, having a lift for me, I think in my dream garage, that would be a key component.
Yeah, see, I immediately flashed to, well, I know where there's a Walmart that's abandoned. I probably could get a couple cars in there.
Yeah, exactly.
What advice would you give to someone who's looking for a classic Mustang?
Drive a few. I didn't just buy the first one that I drove. Drive a few and see the differences, right? If you're like, oh, I just love this classic car, drive a few of that same kind and trying to find out, because when you're emotional about a vehicle, as we all know, and you just fall in love with what it looks like and stuff, and you're like, it's great, and you drive it once and you just think it's fine.
Yeah.
That's your emotions taking over, and if you haven't test drove a few different ones to kind of see how they drive different, you won't be able to pick up on the nuances of things that could be wrong. But when you drive a few, even though you like, you can notice the differences, and then you can really dial it in to find the best one.
And when you do find that Mustang, get ready, because you're going to be together a while, because these things will grab your heart forever.
Yeah, it's something I can't sell.
Heather, thank you for being on the program today. We really appreciate all you've done for us, and it's been a blast.
Thank you, Bob.
I'm not sure if it was her being raised in Montana, her experiences in Los Angeles or Puerto Rico or Colorado, but Heather is also a foodie, a mixologist, and a sommelier. She certainly proves that everyone has a Mustang story. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
The views and opinions expressed on Your Mustang Story are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily represent Spirited USA or its sponsors. Send questions and comments to contact@yourmustangstory.com. Join us next time for Your Mustang Story.